It is our pleasure to have you all here today. Before we start, I would like you all to know that Swiflearn is the only education system that gives you online interactive sessions where you have a maximum of 6 students in a class. So that gives you a one-on-one with the teacher along with detailed progress reports, which helps you understand as well as analyze how much you are able to do and how much you have progressed over a period of time. The live interactive face-to-face classes are so important because the student and the teacher are able to build a rapport with one another. The students are able to understand and their doubts are cleared on a much more personal level. Also, students are given the opportunity to take unlimited practice tests, which gives them a lot more to work with, and it's a wonderful journey to be on. So firstly, do like, share and subscribe to the video. And now let's start with our class. My name is Annalise Benjamin and today we'll be going on a journey which is called public speaking, and we will be handling the debate section today. So firstly, what all will we be covering in today's class? We're going to understand what is a debate and what is the meaning of it, the basic rules that come along with a debate, how do you draft your debate structure. This will be done stepwise. So from the beginning to the end, how a debate will be handled, how a debate will go on. You can also learn how to express yourself during a debate. The main part is being expressive in the right places. You are going to also learn how to develop critical thinking skills as well as to develop compelling statements, which is through your examples and your exercises as well. And you will understand and recognize the strength and weaknesses of all arguments. Yes, so let's begin. What is a debate? So a debate is a very simple process. It is a formal discussion. It's a formal discussion or a standard contest on a particular topic. It's very simple. So usually what happens, you are divided into two groups. If not, if it's between two people, then the two people will be opposing one another. So what happens? One group will talk in favor of the topic and the other group will talk against the topic. Okay, so both these groups will be given a topic, a specific topic. One group will be for the topic and the other group will be against the topic. That is what a debate is basically. It is a formal discussion which is held. It is not how you have your usual discussions where everybody is talking one on top of the other. Nobody gets a chance to put in their points in. No, that's not what your debate is. Your debate is specifically going to be a formal discussion because everybody's points are valid and everybody is going to be heard. Okay, I hope you've understood what a debate means. Now, what is the aim of your debate? Why is a debate happening? Your debate is taking place because you have to convince the person who is opposite you. Okay, that means the person who is in the other team, that your points, what you are talking, is more valid. What do I mean by more valid? More valid means that your points are more important, they are correct. Okay, that you're sort of convincing the other person that what you are saying is right and what the other person is saying is wrong. That is the aim of a debate. So how do we do this? Let's go about with each step. Firstly, place your points well. Your points have to be put in a structured manner. You can't do it in a haphazard way because you are confused. So when you are confused and you're putting those points across in a confused manner, the person who is opposing you knows that you're confused. They understand that, they catch on that, and that can be your weakness. So always make sure to structure your points well, to make good use of your points. Speak clearly. This is very important. The only way another person is going to know what you are communicating is when you speak clearly. Your manner of speech needs to be clear. Next, Be precise. That means be to the point. Don't beat around the bush. Don't give extra information. No, nobody is interested in that when it comes to a debate. As I said earlier, it's a formal conversation. And we all know in our formal conversations, we have to be to the point. That is why we have to be precise. Give reasons and examples to support your view. The only way you are going to convince another person that you are right is when you give a reason or an example that acts as a support to your point. It gives your point more relevance, more importance, because it is backed up by something which is a reason or an example. The next, ask relevant questions only. So when it comes to your rebuttal, that means the part where you're asking questions to one another, make sure you ask only relevant questions. That means questions which are to the topic, related to the topic. Don't ask questions which are not related at all. It won't make sense, and you are simply going to be losing points at that point of time. Sum up your arguments into one or two sentences for the conclusion. I see your conclusion, as you already know, is your final remark, right? It's the final part of your speech that you're giving. So, in your conclusion, you are asserting that your argument, your points are what are supposed to be remembered by the public, by the panel, by the judges. So, what do you do in your conclusion? You sum it up. That means you do a summary. You, whatever you have spoken about throughout, tell it in short. But these points, even though they are in short, they have to be impactful. Okay, the other person needs to know that what your points were, they were extremely valid and they are extremely important. Always remember, focus on what you know. There is a plethora of knowledge out there. There's so much of knowledge that everybody has, right? But some things are our strong points. So we have to focus on that. Focus on what you know, especially. Do not move on to things which are, you have less knowledge about, because somebody else who may have more knowledge than you in that can catch you with that point. Okay, and then the argument can go against you. It won't be in your favor. When another person is talking, listen. Make sure you listen. The most important part is listening. You are able to find your questions when you listen to the other person, and obviously take notes. The main thing is the speech is going to be long. You are not going to remember each and every point another person has said, so take notes. Take it down on your paper so that you remember what you are going to question the other person. Give a strong conclusion. Again, your conclusion is most important. You have to make sure your conclusion is impactful and you are giving the best you can in your conclusion. Okay, now let's move on. What are our important phrases to remember while we're debating? Okay, there is a certain structure, a certain format which we have to follow when we are debating, right? So we have certain phrases which we have to follow. Now, what are those phrases? I strongly believe that it's a formal discussion, first of all. So you cannot say, yes, I'm for it, or something which is very casual. No, we can't do that. I strongly believe that, and then continue with your point. So your initial part of your sentence would begin with, I strongly believe that. That's your first one. Secondly, surely you would agree that when you are sure, when you are actually trying to convince your audience that even they think the same way that you think, that's when you are going to say, surely you would agree that. Next, it's worth bearing in mind that. So this you're trying to form a connection with the people who are listening to you. You're trying to tell them that you remember the same thing as well as they remember the same point. So you're building an interaction with your audience, with the people who are listening to you. This is extremely important because the audience feels connected to your points. So it's a very good statement which you could use. I would be inclined to disagree. Now, if you don't agree with somebody, what are your statements? I would be inclined to disagree. That means I'm leaning towards disagreement. I do not agree with you. I disagree with you. I would like to argue that. Okay, now suppose you don't agree with them, you don't want to follow what they are saying, you want to actually argue with them about that. You have valid points to argue with them in relation to that point. You would start your sentence with, I would like to argue that. That's your beginning of your sentence. Next, What I'm trying to say is, this is a very simple statement which we use usually when we are talking to other people, right? We'll say, what I'm trying to say is, and then you continue with your statement. So that is your point over here. And mainly when it's your most important point, okay, you know this point is what is going to help you win. It's going to put your point across. So how do you go about it? Most importantly, I want to mention that. Most importantly, I want to mention that this is your most important point. When you are trying to put across your most important point, this is this phrase that you could use while you are debating. Okay, I hope you all have understood till now what I've been saying. If you all have any doubts, please comment below and I will check it soon so then we can discuss it as well. Okay, now let's look at this example. I'm going to read it out for you. Here is Naman and Nidhi. They are taking part in a debate competition of their school. One of them would speak in favor of the topic and the other against the topic. The topic given to them is homework should be abolished. Okay, let's try to, figure what this topic is about. What are they saying? There are two people. One is Naman, the other is Nidhi. They are taking part in a debate competition. Okay, so now throughout all this while we understood what is a debate. So both of them have to talk about this topic. Their topic is homework should be abolished. Their topic is homework should be abolished, means homework should be stopped. No homework should be given to children. Okay, so one of them, suppose Naman is given the topic that he's for the topic. That means he's going to argue saying that homework should be abolished. And if Nidhi is against the topic, she has to argue saying that homework should not be abolished. Okay, now let's hear what they have to say. When we are reading this, okay, whatever statements are underlined, I would like you all to read with me. So when I'm reading, you all also read. And which statements are underlined, stress on it. Make them assertive sentences. That means you are trying to put that main point across. Good morning to one and all. The topic for today's debate is homework should be abolished. I, Naman Kumar of Standard 8th, strongly speak in favor of the motion. At the very onset, I'd like to raise this question. Is the homework to be done by the parent, the tutor, or the already overburdened student? In my opinion, homeworks are rarely done at home. It is mostly done in the buses, during the recess, in between classes, or these days, over the telephone. I argue, in fact, that homeworks often become such a burden in families that parents decide to do them in the fastest and most convenient manner, which fails the larger purpose of the task. Further, I also strongly believe that homeworks do not often check a child's physical, emotional, and social development. It simply programs the students to become more competitive. Okay? Now, whenever you're reading, now how we read it, we were not shouting at anybody, we were not screaming, we were not yelling, no. We're just stressing on those points. We're trying to make the other person realize that those points which we are stressing on, they are important. Okay? So we were stressing on those points. Now let's read once more. Let's read this as well. Read along with me. Okay? So wherever we are stressing, we'll stress on it together. I would like to draw your attention to the fact that this monster, homework, becomes a thing of fear and finally becomes a holiday horror. Homeworks are almost always done when a child is already tired after a long day at school. As a result, few students are at their best when they sit down in the evening to do more work. Homeworks end up being done in a hurry by students fighting fatigue and poor quality work is produced. Worse still, students who have been up late trying to finish off their homework then come tired into school the next day and so are less ready to learn. Really, what is the point? My final argument is that homeworks are of limited value. The type of homeworks given at schools are most often dull and mechanical, so as to keep students busy at home. I support the motion that homework should be abolished. Thank you. Okay, this is what Naman was talking. Now let's hear what Nidhi says. Okay, she is going to speak against the motion. Now, all this while, you all heard for the motion. That means homework should be abolished and how they should be abolished. See the points, the way the structuring was done. There was an introduction where he was introducing the topic. Then there was a body where the points were being stated. And finally, there was a conclusion where he restates his argument. Okay. Now we're moving on to Nidhi, who's going to be speaking against the motion. That means she's against the topic that homework should be abolished. Okay. Now make sure when we are reading, when you are reading as well as when I'm reading, the colored sentences, whatever is colored, okay, notice those words, notice that those sentences, pay attention to them. Okay, let's begin. A very good morning to respected jury, my teachers and my dear friends. I, Nidhi Jain of class 8, would like to take the opportunity to present my views against the motion. I would like to begin with a quote which says, "Practice makes a man perfect." My knowledgeable opponent has submitted that homeworks are not a desirable task. But may I ask how the teacher is to check and assess the work of the students if not through homework? I strongly oppose the view that homeworks are done by parents, tutors, or copied from other children. On the contrary, if a homework is constructive and stimulating, it becomes such a pleasurable activity. I think that homeworks not only check a child's growth, but also build their self-confidence and give them a sense of achievement. In classrooms, most of the time has to be spent learning from the teacher or working in groups. Homeworks prepare students to work more independently, as they will eventually have to attend colleges and workplaces. Everyone needs to develop skills of personal organization, catering to deadlines, being able to research independently, etc. If students are always spoon fed at school, they will never develop study skills and self discipline for the future. Over time, well planned homeworks can help students develop good habits, such as reading for pleasure or creative writing. I support the view that teachers giving homework know the capacity of a child. My knowledgeable opponent has submitted that it makes them busy day and night, which does not seem sound and convincing. I, therefore, wholeheartedly oppose the motion that homework should be abolished. Okay, now we've heard both of them speak for and against the topic. We've understood it. Okay, now what we're going to do is we're going to do our own debate in favor of and against the topic. Modern living has made man unhealthy, weak, and disease prone. That means our current lifestyle, the way we live right now, it is very unhealthy. It's not as healthy as it used to be before, because we are more we have more access to more unhealthy options. Okay, it makes us unhealthy, weak, and disease prone. Disease prone means there's more chance of us falling sick. Okay, now what we'll do is we'll look at the hints in the next few slides, and then we will discuss it. Okay, during this time, when you all will get some 10 minutes to prepare yourself, and then you all can comment below. Okay, now those who are for the motion, whoever's for the motion, what you'll have to do is you all need to bring about points that, we're living in a competitive life, that everything is constantly in a rush. It's called a rat race, right? Because everybody is constantly rushing, trying to achieve something. It is competitive. Everyone is competing with one another. Most of us have bad eating habits. That means we are more inclined towards junk food, more inclined towards drinking cold drinks, having sweetened drinks, which is all comes under bad eating habits. Next, We have a life full of worries. Of course, everybody undergoes amount of stress. They have so many worries in their life, so that automatically creates more problems to your in your body, so that causes your ill health. Next is your pollution. This we are also aware of during this time, especially that the pollution is at large and it's growing day by day. There's no control towards it. Now, any form of pollution is always going to have a direct effect on us human beings, as well as our, our planet. Next is our bad lifestyle, the way we live. So none of us have strict sleeping patterns. We are not, there's no continuity in the way we live. There's no order. There's no structure. It's all going with the flow, right? That's what we say these days. We're going with the flow. So that comes mostly under your bad lifestyle. So all those who are going to be for the motion, they are going to talk about such points, while those who are against the motion, okay, you are going to talk about how there is advanced treatment nowadays. Okay, we have so many facilities to treat ourselves. There's also advanced medicine. There's so much more available now than it was maybe 10 years back or 20 years back. So this facility helps us. So that does not mean we are unhealthy. Okay, we have more life expectancy. We have a larger chance of living for more longer years than other people. We have availability of comforts. Of course, we are living a very comfortable life. We have all our basic essentials with us. So that comfort, the fact that we don't have to, struggle constantly, that is helping us not have ill health. Okay. So these were our points for the motion as well as against the motion. Okay. Now, what we'll do is I'll give you all some time. Try to form some points and comment below so I can read your points out loud. Okay. I'll give you all around 5 to 7 minutes. Try it out loud. Whatever points come to your mind, comment below so then we can talk about it. I'll give you all 2 more minutes. So now what we could do is, modern living has made man unhealthy, weak, and disease prone. Okay. So, for those who are for the topic, that means they agree with this point, they would give an introduction stating that we are in favor of this topic. Okay. We are for this topic, that modern living has made man unhealthy, weak, and disease prone. Post that, whichever points you want, you would have to build up on that. Okay, you would say that most importantly, I would like the main issue of modern living is the competitive life that people lead. Okay, you're constantly on the run, you're constantly trying to make a mark for yourself, carve a niche for yourself, and you are unable to take care of your body, and this has a huge impact on your body, which leads to illnesses. Okay, so you build up on your points. You actually, once you get your point, once you figure out what's your point, you try to think what are the reasons in relation to this point. Okay, so what you have to do is, as soon as you get your point, after that, give a reason, okay, that supports your point, and after that, give an example. Examples always make your argument better. Okay, it makes it more let's say juicier, because it's more interesting with an example. Okay, let's move on. Now, the rebuttal. A debate is not only about your speech, it's not only about you talking to somebody and somebody talking to you back. No, there's a rebuttal round in between, and that is a very, very important part as well. So what is this rebuttal round? This is when you are clashing against people. Okay, that means both of you are going to be arguing with one another. So what happens over here? Okay, whenever you come up, you say your speech, you're done with your speech. After that, the opposing team is going to be asking your questions, is going to be asking you questions. They are going to try to prove that your points were wrong and that you were wrong. Okay, so it's going to be heated mainly. And this during this point, the audience as well as the judges can be taken into confidence. That means the judges and the audience can also be a part of it. Okay, now mainly what you have to do is you have to prove that your points, okay, your points are right and the other people are wrong. So this is done through the rebuttal round, because here is when you can crack the other person. Even if that person has the most compelling speech, the best speech ever, your rebuttal is very essential. You can prove that person's points were wrong during this rebuttal if you can counter argue, if you can argue with them so well that they bow down and they actually agree with what you are saying. That is what your rebuttal round is. Okay, now let's understand the next debate. Sonia and Samuel will debate on mall culture is a good habit among teenagers and youngsters in cities. What do you mean mall culture? We all love going to the mall, right? It's so much fun. There's so many things to do. Now, this has become a habit among your teenagers and youngsters in cities, in city areas. So, Sonia and Samuel are going to argue about this topic. Okay, so now when we're reading it, pay attention to the rebuttal section of it. Okay, yes, Indu, the audience can ask the question affirmative or negative about the team. So that's how you actually win your whole debate, because when you ask the question and the other person gets stumped, that means the other person is not able to answer you. The other person is, suppose you are making a negative comment about their point, okay, and they know that you are right. They somehow will make a mistake, they will falter, and you will win. That's how a debate generally works. Okay, now let's read this. Whatever is underlined, remember when you all are reading also, focus on it. Okay, stress on that point and understand these points. Okay, try to understand how these points are. Let's go through it. Honorable judges, teachers, and my dear friends, I, Sonia, stand before you to express my views in favor of the motion mall culture is a good habit among teenagers and youngsters in cities. Shopping malls are gradually becoming an integral part of cities. They are fast emerging as the new hallmark of development. Air conditioned atmosphere provides a big relief from the sweltering heat one has to face in the local markets, during the summers. The neat and clean, safe and secure building helps teenagers and youngsters to forget the stress and pressures of schools and colleges and enjoy free time in a relaxed way. The rise of malls in our country also signifies that we are developing and changing from our primitive ways of living into a much more organized and classy way of living and socializing. Shopping malls help teenagers buy anything under one roof. All their favorite things like junk jewelries, fast food, newly released books are available. They can take any electronic items without bargaining, as all the products are branded and sold with fixed price tags. Okay, now look at this. I would like to add that window shopping is the best way to learn about latest products in market. Shopping malls are the perfect place to host and attend parties. Shopping malls with movie theaters provide another way of enjoying holidays with friends and families. Thus, shopping malls are fast emerging as the most favorite place for teenagers and youngsters to hang out in the company of their loved ones without worrying about heat and hunger. Thank you. Okay, now let's hear Samuel's point of view. That was what Sonia had to say. Now, Samuel is going to speak against the motion. Okay, that mall cultures are not becoming for teenagers and youngsters. Let's begin. Honorable judges, teachers, and my dear friends, a very warm good morning to one and all present here. Today, I, Samuel, stand before you to speak against the motion. Mall culture is a good habit amongst teenagers and youngsters in cities. I would like to begin with a quote by Bill Bryson. We used to build civilizations, now we build shopping malls. Mushrooming of shopping malls in every nook and corner of cities is becoming a nuisance for common people. Teenagers suffer most because of the mall cultures in cities. Everything about malls is detestable. Their imposing structure and lucrative exterior symbolize the superficiality of city life, with increasing materialistic outlook of its people. Youngsters and teenagers spend their valuable time and hard-earned money of their parents in malls. Also, they are harmful for health for the visitors. The air inside the mall is not fresh due to it being air conditioned without proper ventilation. Shopping malls are heavy on the purse also. Most of the showroom in malls charge higher prices in comparison to those in open markets, as they have to pay higher rents and it costs more to watch movies and buy things there. Shopping malls encourage desire for materialistic products that might be of little use in actuality. They get lured by the glossy advertisements. Also, they spend a huge amount in throwing parties in malls instead of at home. To conclude, we can say that teenagers and youngsters are drawn towards materialistic products, encouraged by malls, and spend their valuable time and hard earned money in shopping malls as a social symbol. They want to show off to their friends their spending powers at the cost of time and money. And for all of these reasons, I argue against the motion. Thank you. Okay, now let's start the rebuttal. Okay, let's try to hear what Samuel would say first. Okay, let's read what they are saying. This is how your rebuttal is taken place. Okay, one person asks questions, the other person answers. Now you have to prove that your point is right. Basically, that is your aim of your rebuttal. I would like to ask my friend how shopping mall cultures is bad. If we have to keep pace with the modern world, we have to adopt modern concepts of the market. Now, Samuel's reply. Firstly, I would like to point out to you, my learned friend, that the enticing nature of the products can display also on display also leads many youngsters to buy the things that they do not need. Moreover, mall cultures can also make a person addicted to such high class places that a person may not want to shop anywhere else. This will become a problem for the small scale shops who couldn't afford to rent a space in the malls. I strongly oppose anything which harms the economy of small businesses of our nation. Thank you. Just look at the way it is formulated. They are talking with so much of respect to one another. See, initially when we discussed, we said it's a formal discussion, right? So we have to be good to one another. We cannot scream, we cannot yell, we cannot, hurl at them. We have to talk decently, we have to talk nicely. Also, one more thing. When we spoke before, we said that the stick to the information that you know, right? Whatever information you have at large, stick to that. Now look at this rebuttal over here, this part of it. This information was not what was said in the speech. This is extra information. This shows how much you know about your topic, that you are able to support it. You are able to support a question which somebody else has asked you. That's what a good debate is. You are not only supposed to know what you have said in your speech, you have to have some background knowledge which can support you whenever somebody asks you a question. Like over here, he speaks about small scale businesses which hasn't been spoken about before. But it is such a valid point that you're blown over. You start to think, you're forced to think. That's what a good rebuttal is all about. Let's continue. I'd like to deal with 2 points here, my friend. You have said that we are progressing in a classy way. Is it that going against budget and culture is something unclassy? Also, I would like to counter the view that window shopping is not only or the best method to learn about products. There are various websites which allows product comparisons as well. Let me just restate my position. My dear friend, I didn't mean anything unclassy. I meant we need to keep pace with the modern world. This allows our progress of the economy of the nation as well. Thank you. Okay, now see, in this point, here the point is being restated. That means it is an exact word that has been used, the word unclassy. Okay, so when something like this has been used, you're using the exact terminology from your speech, you have to restate your position. That means you have to clear it. You have to clear any kind of disagreement that the other person has. You have to restate your point and prove that your point is correct. Okay, I hope you're getting it. Okay, now can you all tell me who spoke better? Which one of them spoke better, and why do you think they spoke better? Samuel or Sonia? Whose was better for you all? Comment below. See, whoever you feel, it could be Samuel, it could be Sonia, but why do you like them? You like them because their points were such, they spoke their points out so well with so much clarity that you were able to understand whatever they spoke, right? You were able to you were convinced that their part of the argument was right. Okay, that is what this is about. That is what your debate is about, when you believe the person who is talking. Okay, now let's try to debate about the following topic. Parents should give a weekly allowance to their kids. Okay, that parents should give their kids a certain amount of money every week. Now, what do we have to do? We have to write down our points. Okay, if we are for the topic or against the topic, we have to give examples which support our points. Okay, now remember, whenever you are speaking, okay, remember all that you have learned. Not only right now, try to get all the knowledge that you have within you and use it over here. Okay, I'll give you all some time to prepare. Okay, so how does this have to go? You have to speak either for the topic that parents should give money to their children every week, or you should speak against the topic that parents should not give money to their children every week. So it depends on which side of this topic you are in, if you're in favor or you're against it. Now, depending on that, see, now how we have read all this while, we read there was an introduction, sometimes there were quotes that were given, to uplift your argument. Then there could be, then after that, there's going to be your body, which has your multiple points. So write your point, give your reason, and give an example. And irrespective of how many points you have to follow the same method. Okay, you're going to put your point, you're going to put a reason, and then you're going to give an example. So, and then finally comes your conclusion, where you're restating your point. You're sort of asserting that these are my arguments. So that's how you would have to go about with your debate topic. Now, some reminders for you. Remember that you will be graded on all elements of the debate. It's not only one part of the debate that matters, it's every single part. Right from the word go, that means when you start, till the end of it. Everything counts. You are going to be graded throughout. Okay? Your rebuttal and presentation are the two added elements. That means they are the most added elements. You have to focus on your rebuttal and your presentation. Okay? Because this is what is going to gain you points. Okay? Your rebuttal is how you counter two of the three reasons given by your opponent. Now, your opponent has given a number of reasons. You have to argue back at least about two reasons. You have to find ways to counter argue with them. Now, your presentation is how well you are prepared. What is your presentation? It's not only the way your points are or your points are structured. No, it's your tone, the way you are talking. It's your level of confidence, how you sound when you are talking. Okay, are you confident enough? And it's your overall demeanor. That means how you are on the whole. All this is so important while having a debate. Okay, now this is another debate which we could do. It's prepare your speech either for or against a topic, and do not forget your rebuttal. Okay, so over here you're going to talk about social media has improved human communication. How social media has changed human communication. So if you're for the topic, you are going to speak about how social media is important. Okay, how it has everything is revolutionized because of social media, how it has changed the game. Like earlier we would wait for weeks to get one answer from somebody, if it was a business business letter, or it was a informal letter or something, that we had to talk to somebody. We would have to wait for so long. But your social media, it's a tap of a button and everything is done. That's the beauty of social media. So you could talk about that. But if you're against it, you would say that how social media has cut the connection, the human connection that we had. Okay, there's no longer any link between people because they're so glued to their social media. Everything is about the social media presence. So you could bring in those points when you're talking about when you're against the topic. Okay, now the word for today that we are doing is imbibe. What does imbibe mean? Fix or set securely or deeply. Okay, it is set deeply. That means it is there permanently, it's secure. You are imbibe the following statement in an application program or issue it interactively. You can imbibe the following statement in an application program or issue it interactively. Okay, so that's the word for the day, which is imbibe. Thank you all so much for today. This was wonderful. I hope you all understood what a debate is and how to conduct it. You've done a great job. It was lovely being here and meeting you all today. Thank you so much and hope to see you all very soon.